All right, hello everybody. Welcome to the second part of this should be dividing polynomials number 2. Okay, now this is only going to be a short video. It's only going to be 10 minutes long. Basically, you have been doing something like this. This was the last examples we were doing. We had x squared plus 9x plus 20 divided by x plus 4, x squared plus 2x minus 48 divided by this. And one thing you should have noticed is that these were kind of like the warm-ups on how to do these types of problems, because if we look here, look at the coefficient of x squared. What is the coefficient of this x squared? What was the coefficient of this x squared? What was the coefficients of all these problems? It was just 1. Okay? Oh god, this is way too zoomed in. Let me back up a little bit. Okay, yeah, there we go, much better. The coefficients are only 1, okay, when we did these problems. And these numbers were a little nice, okay? Now we're going to try and do some questions that don't look so nice. Like eventually, this question over here we already did, this x squared plus 6x plus 9 divided by x plus 3, we did that question. But what if you have something like this? You see, look, the coefficient is not 1. So let's see, how do we do this type of problem, all right? This is the first question on your Engage New York sheet. You have, let me get the black pen, you have 7x cubed minus 8x squared minus 13x plus 2 all divided by 7x minus 1. Okay, that is the question you have. But this is just something divided by something, and the way we're going to do this problem is our long division. So we have what we want to divide is what is being divided is 7x cubed minus 8x squared minus 13x plus 2, and it's all going to be divided by 7x minus 1. Dumb, dumb, dumb. How do we do this? Okay, you guys, the same way we were thinking before with this type of problem, the same rhythm that we had is still going to exist. Like when we looked at this question over here, you have x squared plus 2x minus 48 divided by x minus 6. What was the first question you asked? How many times does x go into x squared? Right? That was the rhythm. How many times does x go into x squared here? We're going to do the same exact thing over here. How many times does 7x go into 7x cubed? Okay, we're going to ignore this minus 1. You always look at the term all the way to the left, and the term all the way to the left is 7x minus 1. You ask yourself, how many times does 7x go into 7x cubed? Okay, how many times does it go into that? So let's see. Let's say if you're still a little confused, well, not confused. Remember, we could do this. If you want to show this on the side, 7x cubed divided by 7x. Right? That's what you're asking yourself. And what is that? 7 divided by 7 is 1. So it's just 1. And then x cubed divided by x, that should be, well, let's see. Just so we could break this down a lot nicer. X cubed divided by x, right? This is a 1 over here. So this is x to the third x to the 3 minus 1, right? Because if we have this exponent here and this exponent here, you're going to subtract it. So this is going to be x squared, right? This is going to be 1x squared, or just x squared. Okay, so this is going to be x squared. And one thing you notice is, well, let's see, what do we do from here? We multiply x squared times 7x. So we get 7x cubed. Remember, there's a 1 here. So it's the 2 plus the 1, that's 3. And then what else are you going to do? You're going to do x squared times negative 1. Remember the same thing we did here? When we had how many times does this x go into x squared? It goes in x times. Then what did you do? You did x times x is x squared. Then the same x times 3 is 3x. That same rhythm, you're going to do it right here. You're going to multiply this x squared times this negative 1. So you're going to get negative x squared. Okay, and then what do? Take the whole thing and subtract. All right, take the whole thing and subtract. So what do we get? 7x cubed minus 7x cubed is 0. Now you have minus 8x squared, right? Minus 8x squared minus the minus x squared. Okay? You have negative 8x squared, so this is equal to what? Remember, the minus times the minus is positive, so this is equal to negative 8x squared plus x squared. Okay? Now for some of you, remember, don't freeze. You know how to do this. Are these like terms? How do you know if they're like terms? They have the same base variable, they have an x and an x, and they have the same exponent. So remember, this is just a 1 here. This is just an invisible 1. This is just negative 8 plus 1, right? This is negative 8 plus 1, which is negative 7x squared. Remember, this, when you add and subtract the like terms, you keep the base and you have the exponents the same. If you feel like right now this is a little anxiety, pause the video, raise your hand, and I will give you some examples of like how to add and combine these terms, because you got to be good with this stuff, because it's going to get a little more, you have to be good with this. If you feel a little anxiety about this, just pause the video, stop, and I'll give you some examples and we'll work on it together. Okay, so this is negative 7x squared. Okay, so this is negative 7x squared. Okay, now that's what we got, right? This is plus, yeah, negative 7x squared. So what did we do last time when we had this question, right? We had how many times does x go into x squared, right? It goes in x times x is x squared, x times 3 is 3x, and then we took the whole thing and we subtracted, right? And then we got x squared minus x squared is 0. 6x minus 3x is 3x. And then what do? We brought it down. So, I mean, we brought the next thing down. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to bring the next thing down over here. And what are you going to bring down? You're going to bring negative 13x down. And then what did you ask yourself next when you got to this point on this problem? You ask yourself, how many times did x go into 3x? It went in 3 times. We're going to ask the same question here. How many times does 7x go into this negative 7x squared? How many times will it be? And if it's still a little weird to ask yourself that, always just do this. You see, you have negative 7x squared divided by 7x, right? That's what you're doing when you want to find out how many times something goes into this. You could just do this, and by doing this on the side, you can you won't make a mistake. So here you have negative 7 divided by positive 7. That is negative 1. Okay, that is negative 1. And what is x squared divided by x? Remember, there's a 1 here. That's that x squared. That's that 2 minus 1, which is x to the 1, which is just really negative x. It goes in negative x times. Okay. Now, pause the video if you want and raise your hand, and if this feels a little weird, just pause the video, raise your hand, and come to me. I mean, I'll come to you. Okay. So here we have negative x. Now what do? Negative x times 7x is negative 7x squared. Negative x times negative 1 is positive x. Okay? And what happens? What do? Always, parentheses, parentheses, and you're minusing. You're taking this whole thing and you're subtracting it with this whole thing. That's what we did in division, right? Don't you remember this? Just really quickly, 288 divided by 16, 1, 16. You're always subtracting. Right? So this was what? 1, 12, 8. Yeah? You're always doing that. Okay, so here you have negative 7x squared minus a negative 7x squared. So this is negative 7x squared minus a minus 7x squared. And this becomes what? This is negative 7x squared, right? This stays the same, Minus times minus is positive 7x squared. And this is 0. Notice that when you're doing this pattern, this is always 0. This always becomes, or it should always become 0. Okay? Until you get to the end, then it's a little different. But that's what you want to do. You constantly want to just get zeros over here. All right? Now, what do you do here? What is negative 13 minus positive 1? Let's just write that over here. You have negative 13x minus a positive x, right? Isn't that negative 13x minus positive x? That is equal to negative 13x. Minus times positive is minus x. And this is what? Negative 13x minus x. There's that 1 over here. Yeah, that is just negative 14x. Okay, so now you have negative 14x. Okay, now what? Now what do we do? How are we doing on time? Oh my god, 11 minutes. God, that's not what I wanted to do, but okay. Maybe this is, hopefully the video has been good so far. I know it's been a little slow, but we're only doing one problem, but we're almost done. So this is 2, right? We bring that positive 2 down. Okay, bring that positive 2 down. And then what do? You ask yourself the same thing. How many times does 7x go into negative 14x? And do the same thing. You have negative 14x divided by 7x, and that is negative 14 divided by 7 is negative 2, and the x's cancels. It goes in negative 2 times. Negative 2 times 7x is minus 14x, and minus 2 times minus 1 is plus 2, right? And then what do? You take the whole thing, you subtract, and you get negative 14x minus this. It becomes 0. Once you write it out and do your thing, it becomes 0. And that's it. That's what we get. We get this whole thing divided by this whole polynomial divided by this polynomial will be this polynomial. And how can you check? I mean, we'll just do it very quickly, but how can you check? What is this whole thing times this? What is 7x minus 1 times x squared minus x minus 2, is it equal to question mark 7x cubed minus 8x squared minus 13x plus 2? Yeah, it will be. But for your own sanity, you should check for yourself to see that this is good. I'm going to cut the video short and not show the explanation. Well, actually, you know what? Never mind. I will show the explanation. I'll just do it very quickly. Let's just do the box method. You know what? I'll just do it very quickly. Okay. Let's see. So we need a box. Oops. We need a box. All right. Let's see. Right. This is 7x. Oh god, I messed it up. What am I doing? No. Okay. This is 7x minus 1, x squared minus x minus 2. Okay, and I'll just kind of do this quick, but let's see. 7x times x squared is 7x cubed. 7x times minus x is negative 7x squared. 7x times negative 2 is negative 14x. Negative 1 times x squared is negative x squared. Negative 1 times negative x is positive x. Negative 1 times negative 2 is positive 2. And let's see, 7x cubed, you can't combine with anything, so it's there. Negative 7x squared minus this is negative 8x squared. And negative 14x plus x is negative 14x plus x is negative 13x, and you have plus 2. And look, it is the same thing. This is the same thing from here. The same thing. Okay, so it worked. It was a check. Happy face. Okay. I know this was a lot for just one question, but you know, this is math. If this is not an easy class, all right? So you can do this. All right? You guys can do this. Look through the sheet, right? We did this example. We did this one last class. We just did this question. This was not. Well, you can't really see it. Oops, right here. We just did this question. Now try and do this one by yourself. Okay. Try and do this question by yourself, which is very similar to this one. I know this kind of looks like a nightmare, but you can do it. You know, you can do it. All right. I believe in you guys. All right. Try and do this one. Do the long division to map these out. All right. And if you have any questions, you let me know. Okay. I'll see you. Best of luck.